The trial continues tomorrow.
Arsonists are blamed for a fire which has virtually destroyed one of the region's biggest schools. The Henry Fanshawe site of Dronfield School near Sheffield was so badly damaged that part of it is going to be demolished. It's the second arson attack at the school. This report now from Julie Lockwood.
The fire wiped out more than half the school where 1,000 children should have lessons. 60 firemen managed to stop the blaze spreading from the central block, but the dining hall, boiler house and more than 20 classrooms were destroyed.
Absolutely devastated. A few years ago we had the sports hall destroyed, which seemed bad enough, but we're now looking at 50 to 60% of the school, all the specialist laboratories, workshops, art and craft areas, absolutely devastated.
Staff and pupils were shocked at the scale of the damage. Years of work, much of it for exam courses, has been lost.
We've got a year's worth of coursework in there, which has been burnt, so we can't make that up.
I've just seen some of my work carried out, burnt round the edges, dripping wet. I'm a lucky one. A lot of people's has just completely gone up in smoke. I've just sobbed my heart out.
The fire was started in a skip left by workmen a few feet from the school. Within seconds, the building was ablaze. The damage runs into millions, and the building was so unstable, demolition teams had to move in straight away to make the site safe. Police have now traced and eliminated 2 youths seen running away from the school. They're still investigating links with another fire in the area.
Strangely enough, there's been another fire about half an hour later after this one, outside the pizza parlour on Sheffield Road, about 200 yards away. One of our night police patrols found a litter bin on fire.
The school will stay closed until the end of term. It's still to be decided where pupils will go in September.
Well, coming up later, why the region's taxi drivers are seeing red over...
Reporting. Now the day's other main story. Police believe that a fire that all but destroyed a school in North Derbyshire had been started deliberately. The blaze damaged the arts and science block at the Dronfield School. The cost of the damage has been estimated at several £1 million. The school's been closed to its 1,000 pupils. It's the latest in a series of arson attacks on Britain's schools, which are costing the country more than £30 million every year. Mike McCarthy reports.
The blaze was spotted during the early hours when a fire deliberately started in a skip in the school playground spread to the arts and science block. It took 80 firefighters several hours to bring the blaze under control, by which time the block, including laboratories and workshops, had been destroyed. At daylight, the extent of the damage became apparent. Structural engineers say what's left of the building must now be demolished. The ferocity of the blaze caused severe difficulties for the fire service.
We encountered a few problems in getting the amount of water we needed, and the water board did boost the pressure on the mains to give us the required amounts that we needed.
The fire destroyed work records and an art exhibition by pupils who'd just taken their A-level exams. Also lost was the expensive equipment needed for the modern science and technology curriculum. One teacher said it was a disaster, a feeling echoed by pupils and the head teacher.
I'm just absolutely shattered. I think I speak for my colleagues, most of the children as well. We're just absolutely devastated by what's happened.
Couldn't believe, like, in Dronfield that someone could cause that much damage, because it's been done before, but it's never been so big on such a big scale. Couldn't believe how much had been really knocked down. I mean, we didn't think it'd be that bad, but it really is nothing left of it.
Arson attacks against school buildings is a growing problem, costing the country around £33 million a year. In primary schools, according to the latest statistics for Yorkshire and Humberside, there were 150 malicious fires in 1 year. In secondary schools, there were 70 recorded incidents. For those who work with young offenders, such arson attacks are symptoms of deeper problems.
Some young people may just want to see a building burn. Other young people may want to get rid of all the negative aspects of their school life, and by seeing the building burnt down, for them, cures the problem.
Tonight, Derbyshire Police are trying to trace 4 young people seen near the Dronfield School early this morning. Meanwhile, teachers are trying to arrange classes on the school's other site.
So what can be done to stop these sort of attacks? Well, joining me now from Sheffield is Stephen Lismore of Derbyshire County Council. Mr Lismore, schools have always been subject to the occasional arson attack, but the numbers have risen so sharply. Why, in your view?
Well, good evening, Judith. If I can just make a couple of quick points first before I go on to answer that question.
Yes, of course.
The first point is just to say my sincere sympathies to the people of Dronfield, the pupils of the school, the governors and the staff of the school. I've just come from visiting the site, and it really is heartbreaking to see what was a beautiful school in absolute utter devastation. The second point I'd just like to make quickly is thanks to the fire service. I understand that their quick and effective action is what saved the sports hall and the old part of the school, and full marks to them.
Right, so why the rise in arson attacks?
Well, I don't really know that there's a rise in Derbyshire. The problem, obviously, is that one arson attack, as in this example, can cause millions of pounds of damage. Now, before we go too far down the line, I think it's important to say that there's no proof at this stage that we are talking about arson in the fire in Dronfield School.
No, but in the country nationally, let's just get straight to the point here, Mr Lismore. In the country nationally, we're now losing £33 million a year on arson attacks, and that is a rise. Is there an underlying problem here?
Well, the approach we've tried to adopt in Derbyshire has been to try and encourage people, both the pupils in the school and the local community, to value schools as part of their local community, as a resource for their local community. And obviously, if people value something, then they're going to go out of their way to protect it. So that's the general policy that we've tried to adopt. A school is obviously a hugely expensive facility, and it's a facility that's there for everyone in the community, and if it's there for their use, then obviously we'd expect a little bit in the way of keeping your eyes open, looking after that school and valuing it, and that has in general been what schools and citizens, what pupils of schools and citizens have done in the past.
But it's clearly not enough. What more can be done?
Well, we have had some approaches from governors about installing security guards or looking at some sort of permanent or semi-permanent patrols. Now, obviously, if a governing body comes to us with that request, we'll listen very seriously. I don't think we're at the stage now of talking about armed perimeter fences with armed guards around every school. It's important not to go over the top on this issue.
Mr Lismore, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
The jury in the trial of Michael Sams has been told by the prosecution to stand back and see where the truth lies. In their closing statement, they said his method and means were a calling card left at the scene of the crime. Sams has denied killing the Leeds teenager Julie Dart. His defence counsel claimed the prosecution were just guessing at Sams' guilt. From Nottingham Crown Court, Richard Hewitt sends us this report.